And so, therefore, the Democratic Black Caucus can aid in going to areas where there have been previously white representatives and fielding African American representatives. I mean, in 29,000 people, if we can't find a potential legislative candidate in a district, we have an issue. We have an issue. And so, therefore, the one thing that the Democratic Black Caucus can do in aiding and assisting is helping us find those candidates, those potential candidates, and then supporting them. Because the more members we have in the General Assembly, I cannot stress that enough, the better leverage we have to get some things done for the African American community as a whole. I will give you examples. We have been on this issue of African Americans receiving 10% of state contracts for as long as I don't know what. And those are the things that your African American legislators can do for you. But when we don't elect, and here's the thing also, and I'm just gonna, in redistricting, here's what we said. We drew 16 black house districts, but we only have 12 members up there. But we have 16 black districts, but we only have 12 members there. Now we can all look around, but I'm just saying, in some of our heavily African American districts, over in Crittenden County, it used to be an example. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Caucasians cannot represent the interests of African Americans. But when we caucus together as African Americans, it's totally different. And so, if there's only one thing that the Democratic Black Caucus can do for us, is actually help us field minority candidates, help us get the ground game going so that we can elect more African American candidates. And you will see a change in the agenda as well.
Great. Dr. Abrams, if you would please expound on that question. What can the Democratic Black Caucus do to support and promote the agenda of the Legislative Black Caucus? But before you do that, I have the next question that will be geared toward you and Dr. Barf. So afterwards, I'll come right back to you.
Historically, numerically, the legislators who were black was much more potent than we have when we have a numerical increase. How did that happen? In the legislature, you have to learn that your one vote will not get any legislation passed. Amen. If you go through the legislative process believing that you are going to deliver it by yourself, it won't happen. In a committee, it has to be a majority of the committee. You have to be on the committee. You have to connect with the chairperson of the committee. Then you got to get a connection with the people in the House and the Senate before you can even get it to the governor's office to sign it. That's right. Or to veto it. The most disgusting thing that I find that when I talk out here at the grassroots level is the first question they say, well, what did they get done? What bill did they pass? When I go back and look when we didn't have but 4 folks and the bills they got passed, they didn't have the numbers. They learned to work together. You cannot deliver by yourself. Yes, you can bring the issue, you can put it on the floor, and you can create all the hell you want to. But the bottom line is, how many people in the committee going to support you? And that's people relationships. And some people don't understand people relationships. The second thing is that we can never, with the poverty of this state, the agrarian history of this state, we can't compete on raising money. But you can compete on voter involvement. And too many times, we don't want to be involved. We want to be the only token in the place. Right. These people, at that period of time, and we have paradigm shifts, when we were gaining the most, that the most people benefited, be they black, green, yellow, or white, it was rural people's issues. It was women issues. And as a result of that, they got the message across and people began to vote with you rather than to vote against you because you hadn't asked them for their support. So collaboration is going to be the key. And the other thing is we have to have political leadership development. You cannot expect to just step out from Mars and be elected and be effective. You got to start at the bottom level. Most of these people had legislative process. There's legislative process at a quorum court, at a school board. Those are places where you learn how to lobby, negotiate, and to be able to compromise, not on principle, but on one way of doing it.
Thank you. And I can attest, Dr. Abrams, I'm a prime example and a product of political leadership development. I'm a hybrid of sorts of a generation of neighbors and church members and, you know, former elected officials that put their hand around me and said, this is how you get elected. And I think if not only the Legislative Black Caucus, but this group here as well binds together, number one, it'd be a great priority to see political leadership development go on, because I now know what it takes to get elected, but I'm also now on the other side of trying to figure out how to pass my first piece of legislation. Next question is for you and Dr. Barr. Why is Arkansas the only southern state that has failed to elect an African American to Congress? And then the backdrop of the number two question, will an African American win a statewide elected office during the next 25 years?
I'll have to share with what, and he knows I'm going to share. One of the things that I was having a fireside chat with the governor, the present governor, BB, and I was beating him over his head badly, saying, when we going to get somebody to run for Congress and be an elected official? And he said, and I know you're going to say that. He said, we don't have enough slots to go around. There's not enough of you all. Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, North Carolina, they got a lot more of y'all, and they can divide up some of those positions. But we ain't got but four. And where y'all are in the boundaries of your congressional areas, we're talking about the upper delta and the lower delta. The upper delta and the lower is where the poor folks are. And that's where the uneducated people are, and it's where the sick people are. So we don't have the numbers game. We can't play the numbers game. We got to have the game of what is fair and right. And that's what he talked about today. He's going to be supporting now what's right rather than a numbers game. And so I know that we want to elect some more. But those of you who are elected, I want to be so that my children can read, just like we could about Dr. Townsend and what bills they introduced, got passed, because they learned how to work with other legislators.
Well, if you saw the map of counties that President Obama won in Arkansas, it looks like a nice little congressional district.
It does.
But that's not the congressional districts that exist right now, and are not going to exist for the rest of this decade. I think that is a crucial question of 2021. For those of us who are still around, that's going to be a real opportunity to create a district that is not a sure thing for African Americans, but a winnable thing. And I think no one wants sure things. There are no sure things in life, but it's all about opportunities. So I think that is real. On your question of will someone be elected statewide in 25 years? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that this. I do think that there's every likelihood that the person with right geographical background, with the right skills, with the right opportunities that they've gained in other settings to be elected statewide. And I think you in your opening comments, you really appropriately regretted Representative Williams not becoming Speaker. But I think it's also we missed the part of the glass that's full, in that he was the Speaker-elect, and it came down to just a handful of votes of him being Speaker, and he won that because of the personal relationships that he built in that body, working with folks from, and he was elected by Democrats. Democrats gave him that opportunity, and he built those bridges with Democrats from around the state. And so I think that alone suggests that when there is the opportunity for folks to build those bridges through interpersonal relationships, change can come and change will come. I have little doubt.
Great. Next questions for Gary Moody and Ms. Abrams. You're going to be in a few of these. They got a lot of historical reference that needs to come out. what can be, what can we do, Gary, from your experiences on the campaign trail, and Ms. Abrams from a historical backdrop, what can we do to remove some of the distrust amongst races in our state as it relates to the future of elections in this process?
I gotta go first. I don't know. Experience, be around. I think oftentimes we tend to associate with folks that we're most comfortable with, and don't challenge ourselves to get out of our comfort zone sometimes. You know, it was, like, I'll just be real honest, it was not a rare occurrence. I looked up, you know, in the office, I would be the only white guy there.
That's right.
And that's okay. And I became very comfortable in that situation. But a few years ago, I don't know that I could have said that because I hadn't had those experiences. I hadn't learned how to, you know, just be comfortable with who I was yet, you know, so to speak, and being around other folks. But I think really challenging yourself to break out of those things. And, you know, black folks don't always hang out and talk with black folks, you know, and don't let us do the same either. I think is the best way to do that, because as you challenge yourself to get to know folks, you find out there's a lot more that unites us than divides us. And, you know, we were speaking to electoral success, and I think that's part of it is, I think for an African-American candidate to be truly successful here in the South, he's going to have to be able to speak to folks like me. He's going to have to speak to white folks, and in order to do that, he's going to have to understand them and kind of know what makes them tick. And so it's not going to be a campaign based on race, but a campaign based on priorities and vision and values that cut across those lines. But in order to understand them and understand how to speak to me about those, they're going to have to know, you know, and have that experience before they run and not try to figure it out as they run. So I think there's a great opportunity here in the 2nd District as it sits. I'll just throw that out there. I don't know that we have a candidate, African American or white, that can win this in 2014, just being real honest. But sometimes you got to start with the race that nobody wants, right? And you get out there and you get valuable experience. You get your name out there. People get to know you. You learn a lot the first time your name's on the ballot. I've worked with the first-time candidates to see how they transformed over that time. I think it would be very valuable to seek that. You know, sometimes you got to start with the ones that nobody wants. And I think looking at Tim Griffin, I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of folks lined up at that race. But I would like to see, I mean, he would probably kill me throwing his name out there. I'd like to see a Darren Williams run for something like that, or a strong African-American candidate run for a seat like that. Win or lose, that experience is going to be super valuable. And we're losing a lot on the issues here because we're not speaking to them. And so having progressive candidates, modern Democrats out there who will talk about why Obamacare is great for Arkansas,
Right.
And not try to run away from it, right? Don't be afraid of where we are, because every time we don't take that opportunity to stand up for the great things that we've done as Democrats, we're losing. We're losing. Just not talking about it. You don't even have to say bad things about it, but if you choose not to talk about it, we're losing. Because the other side is. The other side's busy telling everybody why it's socialism and why it's terrible and why there's givers and there's takers in this society, and we should, you know, give breaks to the givers and hate the takers. And they're playing a politics of division, and we're letting them because we're afraid, especially in the South, to talk like Democrats.
Right.
So even if you don't win a race, getting in it and using that as a platform to talk like a Democrat is very valuable, not only to us as a party, but to the individual candidate, because they kind of get their feet underneath them. And then who knows what happens the next time.
We're down to our last 15 minutes, and with that, we have to excuse Representative Frederick Love. But on behalf of the Arkansas Legislative Black Caucus, Representative Love, as well as myself, we're here, we're available. Representative Love, if you'd like to close with any remarks, please do it.
Yeah, I would like to close with a few things. Here's I've kind of taken in everything that's been said, and